50 years of hip hop. 50 years of hip hop. The anniversary. Did hip hop change or save your life? That's the question for tonight. Talk to me. Did hip hop save your life? I mean, where we at with it? With all the different things that done transpired over all these years. All the different things we done seen, we done heard. Has hip hop saved your life? I want to talk about it. There's so many levels to it. Man, do you believe in it? I mean, do you really believe in hip hop? When you think about where it started. And I actually wanted to know too also, what did they come up with this official date? Maybe I should have did a little bit more research. Maybe it's somebody out there can tell me. Where did they get the actual, I mean, like what detail actually happened on that day for them to say that this is the birth of hip hop? Was it the block party? Hurt Cedric Ave? Was that the day they threw one of their infamous parties or something? And everybody got loose and remembered that day? I mean, what was it? I mean, because I ain't from over the way. I'm from Detroit. I'm from Detroit, so there's some things that I may not know that y'all do know. Maybe somebody can fill me in. What was the reason that they chose today? Well, not today, but the day that they chose. But let's talk about it though. Of course, you have the different elements of hip hop, which most of us already know. The graffiti, break dancing, MCing, DJ. I even been hearing people throw in the fashion in there like that was one of the elements. I don't know about that one, but I have been hearing different people throwing that in the element of when they talk. I mean, don't get me wrong. Hip hop definitely is trendsetters for fashion, but in the early days, the fashion was a street. Not saying that it wasn't hip hop, but most of the rappers they was wearing suits and stuff. They was wearing suits and even Run DMC and all them with them. Although did have the Adidas on, they was rocking patent leather. So when the Essence did turn street, like with the message and other songs, and broken glass was everywhere. I get it. Hip hop is a mirror of the streets. And as time went on, we definitely influenced culture as being one of those elements as far as fashion. But I'm talking in the early days. But times do change, so I guess in 2023 we can say fashion is one of the elements of hip hop. I guess it's fair to say. I can't argue with that. Shit, to be honest with you, commercials, that's an element of hip hop. If you want to be just raw and real and just really take it there, the whole facet of being commercial, that's hip hop now. It used to be the other way around, to whereas hip hop turned commercial, but no, commercial that turned hip hop. That's really an essence. Think about it though. The stages of hip hop, when it did get commercial, it was a big deal. Now it's nothing to hear a rap in a Gap commercial, in a Levi commercial. I'm gonna share a quick story with y'all. I remember, okay, again, I'm from Detroit. I took up a class, right? This was radio and television. So I went to school for radio and television at a school that's no longer here. It was a trade school, rather reputable, called Specs Howard. And some of you that's from this region, the area may have heard of it. So I remember we had this project, right, that we had to do. And during the project, we had to make a commercial. We had to get a product, and we had to make a commercial. So let me tell you what I did. In my commercial, now I will admit this, I was biting a little bit, you know. It's like 2001. I want to say the year was 2000. So I'm biting a little bit, but you got to remember this early in the game. I'm just seeing where everything headed. So I got a Sprite. Now, for those that may remember, and I give Sprite this credit for this too. So Sprite, if you out there, you need credit for this. For my little small YouTube channel. But I remember Sprite, they was one of the first ones that had rappers like in commercials. Now this besides St. Ives, though. I'm talking about something that was visual. Now St. Ives, they did have rappers doing commercials, but it was all audio. I mean, I don't remember no visual video for none of the videos. But if they did have them, I don't. I mean, you got to remember Coke. I mean, not Coke 45. Even though that was big with Billy D. But you got to remember St. Ives was directed straight to the hood, and it was more hood, if you want to say. So you know, I wouldn't get too much airplay as far as being visual. But they definitely, St. Ives was spending that bread for advertising. Though, don't get me wrong. So I remember being a kid myself, going into party stores, if you will, here in Detroit, and seeing Ice Cube posters up on the wall inside the stores and stuff like that. So I remember. So they were spending some bread. But Dick, let me talk about Sprite though. Because what Sprite was doing, it was a little bit early in the game. Because the St. Ives thing that came and went, actually. Because that was like the 90s. So what I did in the classroom is, like I say, I took off the Sprite, but it wasn't that popular yet. But I had an idea because what we had to do in the classroom, we had to make a commercial. You had to get a product and make a commercial. So what I did when I got recorded for my commercial, when I did, I remember sitting there too, but I'm looking right at myself. I was writing a rap and I had a notebook out. And what happened was, as I'm writing, I get like writer's block. So I can't finish the rap, but I'm showing that I'm writing, that I'm trying to get it done. So what I do is I have a Sprite sitting right next to me in the commercial next to my notebook. So what I did was I took a sip of the Sprite and then I was able to finish the rap. That was the whole commercial. It's like I said, like 2 lines of a rap, and I was trying to write it. Then I was acting like, I was having a brain freeze and I couldn't just write it or I couldn't complete it. But then when I took the sip of the Sprite, it's like I got a superpower. And then I just ended up rapping some of the lines of the rap like real inclined, and like it helped me out to do it. I started rapping a little bit faster when I finished the rap, which was already complete. So, mind you, this early. Like I say, this early before hip hop is all on TV going crazy and then commercials and everything. So I turned my paper, not my paper. So I turned my video in. I tell the, everybody had to turn their video in. So my grade it was something so average. It was weak for sure. And what the teacher put in my notes for my video was, he actually wrote this down too. I remember clear as day. Cause this is like why I got a lot of points taken away from my commercial. He wrote down that like the rap had nothing to do with it. I'm trying to exactly pinpoint how it was phrased. Basically, it was saying like the stuff didn't go together, like it wouldn't, like I say, mind you, this is before hip hop was on TV and stuff like that. But like I say, man, I bit this off a Sprite commercial that was early because I remember they was doing little different Sprite commercials here and there, and rappers was popping up. So I'm like, before this get big, I'm about to do it. I'm like, oh, people ain't up on this like that. But I remember I did not get a good grade on that video that I turned in, and I think it was saying, I think he wrote something like the video had nothing to do with the product, or the product like basically like it ain't go together, like some old fashioned shit, like he just didn't get it. But I just think about it in hindsight, how life is just all about just the hip hop and being in commercials and taking over. It just took it to a whole nother level now. I mean, like it's nothing you can't promote without having hip hop in it. I mean, you can't do it. It's no way that you're gonna promote a product nowadays without having a hip hop beat, some type of street essence to it that's raw and hip hop, whether it be the style of clothes or whatnot, but it got a hip hop influence on it. So just the question to ask: did hip hop save your life? Okay, let's fast forward to today with podcasts. That's definitely an extension of the hip hop tree. Look how many people got jobs off of podcasts now. I mean, even the cameraman is hip now. All that shit is hip. Look how many people want to be cameraman now, the videographer, all of that. I mean, that's really a cool job nowadays. Not to mention the conversation piece for the women. I mean, the women love, they want pictures taken of them. You got social media. So hip hop saved a lot of lives. And it hurt lives too. I mean, we're going to get into it though. I'm going to take my time with this video and just talk about it because there's so many levels to it. Not only did it save, it took away. It hurt people. Of course, it was fun in the beginning. Once it get abused, it always goes somewhere else. I mean, why wouldn't it? Because different people can touch it and put their own twist on it. I mean, everything. That's like podcasts. Podcasts started out being informative when it first came out. At least as far as I know, the hip hop one. I'm thinking of Ed Lover. I'm thinking of Combat Jack. He come from a business background. He was a lawyer. So think about the essence of how things start and look how messy podcasts and all these different things can get. Don't get me wrong, they all not hip hop, but most of the ones that are hip hop, look how the messages got twisted and it's all just beef and us against us and the trending topics and the evil and all of that. That's where it went now because of hip hop. There's so many layers to it. I just think about how hip hop it changed so much. How each region did something else with it. Midwest, East Coast, West Coast, the South, even abroad. Even though I don't study the different rappers from overseas and all that also, but this is a world thing. This 50-year anniversary of hip hop. I mean, I haven't been researching how other people been celebrating or how big it is in other countries that celebrate hip hop. But I think to myself of how big it got by something that was just started 50 years ago. If you really think about it, hip hop is still real young. 50 years is not old. That's not old. So just think about how much more growing hip hop got to do. And look how we still keep it a young man's game, though, or young female's game. That's a contradictory right there in itself, right there. Just by thinking that or saying that. Let me rewind and let me just say that again because it's that shit just hit me as it came out. Hip hop is only 50 years old, but yet and still, we still keep it a young man's game after all these years. So what's the future of hip hop then for the next 50 years? Because you already know as all this stuff get in print, this is all history. This first 50 years, we got all these concerts that went on. We got all these different, how can I say, I ain't gonna say documentaries, but so many people rewrite history their own way and documenting how they want to document it. So how is the next 50 years going to look? Because is we really going to remember these rappers that performed all this year? The ones, not to mention the ones we forgot. and the ones we left out. But the powers that be that had the big voice to do the big concerts and the big venues and the tour this year, I mean, they eating. I get it. I get it. It's people coming all out the woodworks eating and doing the shows just because it is 50 years of hip hop, which is good. I mean, if you alive and able to get booked for a show and you was a part of hip hop, I mean, kudos to you. Good for you. That's good. But what about next year? What about next year? What tours and shows they gonna do? Y'all gonna be celebrating the 51st year of hip hop, and then, like I said again, 20 years from now. I mean, cause y'all know how this go, right? If you don't, if you don't, if you don't keep yourself, I want to say keep yourself relevant, but if you don't tell your story, and if you don't tell it over and over, you will be forgotten. I mean, let's just be real. Can I be real? People will forget you. If you don't do it over and over, you will get wrote about the history. And that's why I say the next 50 years or next 20, it's only a certain few that still can be remembered. You got the pioneers, of course. Then you got your people that did it on the largest scale to never be forgotten. Those are the ways you get remembered. Or let me take that back. Or unfortunately, if you have a timeless death, those people get remembered. But they get remembered for all the wrong reasons. But for that whole niche of just being a part of hip hop, it's going to take a lot for you to always be remembered because it's something you're going to have to always do. You're going to have to be a part of the system some way. It's another thing. It's about who you know or what you to pull it off. Because it's forever changing. Because for the next group of people that get introduced to hip hop, or turned on to hip hop, they have to learn who Biggie was. They have to learn who Tupac was. They have to learn who LL Cool J was. And that's all about information being passed down again over and over and over and over and over. Nice and smooth ain't gonna be in a shuffle. I mean, no disrespect to them, but I was just thinking of somebody on the top of my head. You know, there's certain people that, I mean, because if you look around and you already see it starting to happen now already. That's why a lot of people was having that argument about how certain people left out of this. I mean, on the big scale, the conversation. I mean, because you always got your people who just gonna bring somebody's name up who probably is not mentioning because that's just easy to do. But I'm talking about as far as the point to where it's a whole generation of people who just get, like I said again, hip hop is 50 years old. So 20 years from now, when it's another 17-year-old who's listening to music and it's a new artist out that he's interested or that she's interested in, it's still going to be umpteen people that need to be, I don't say need to be researched, but could be researched if they wanted to know the roots of it. And another thing too, as time goes on, it's going to be less people starting to care or wanting to care about it. That's what I think people not paying attention to also. I mean, what's going to make a 17-year-old 20 years from now care about NWA? I mean, I just picked somebody else that time, but like I say, this ain't disrespect. These are facts. What's going to make a 17-year-old 20 years from now care about Heavy D and the Boys, Big Daddy Kane, Gang Starr, Brand Nubian, Ghetto Boys, Woody D, Scarface, Two Live Crew. Two Live Crew gonna be in print though but not in print, but they one of the ones, even if it ain't for the music, they gonna be remembered for the parental advisory sticker forever. They went against the law. So, and that's why I say certain things that you can do, even if it wasn't for the music, that can have you in the books forever. So they one of the ones. You got your people like that that's gonna be forever. So I get those. Biggie and Pac, that's forever. Run DMC forever. But if Run DMC forever, why can't Houdini that was right next to him be forever? It's not gonna happen. Houdini gonna have to be researched. That's just the nature of the game. I think I talked about this before on one of my lives. I was just talking about how being first ain't always best. I mean, just bear with me what I'm saying, where I'm going with this. Being first ain't always best. I mean, it's best on paper, spec, but it can be something that you do, even though you the originator. It's somebody that's gonna come after you, take it to another level to where you didn't take it. It happens all the time. I mean, that's for anything. That's why we think about the early rappers, the Grandmaster Flash, the Kool Hercs, Treacherous Three, and all these different groups. We think like, okay, they wealthy off respect. Not to speak on not to speak on their pockets and stuff, but you know they're not as wealthy with that same respect and compensation, you know, for the things that they did in all those years of, you know, that was the sacrifice of being first. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Kool Herc Pockets is not like Nas or Jay-Z, you know, they came later, or, you know, Baby from Cash Money, whatever, or whoever, Puff Daddy, whoever caught the tail end of it when the money was coming in. It don't even have to be the first. It can be some of the people that was caught in between. There's a lot of rappers that was good and flourishing and did a lot, but they wasn't in it when they went in there when them CDs was 18.99 and it's a certain amount of money, you know, they was getting. I'm talking about that streaming. I'm talking about that. I mean, of course, it's money always still being made, because if you really want to talk about it, these kids now getting show money way more than some of them rappers was getting in the 90s. course. Show money now is ridiculous. They might be getting less on the mechanicals as far as the streaming and all that than the artists from the 90s did. But that show money, that travel, all that, that's a different entity. Even though it's a hustle, they can only get it probably while they high. And it may run out. If they smart about it, they should know it's not gonna last forever. That's why they have to keep them songs and hits out and get it while it's getting good. I mean, let's put it out there. The secret is out. You can make a bag just off having one hit song, touring at least for a couple of months till they get rid of you until somebody else come out. I mean, y'all see Shorty right now running around crazy. It's 2023. It's crazy. It's documented. I mean, we a part of history right now talking about this. But it's crazy. It's 50 years of hip hop anniversary, and it's a young lady out with a song, with the booty hole brown out, that's running around touring, making more money off one song than probably Rocket Rocket. I don't even want to name nobody, but off making more money this last 2 months off one song that somebody from the 80s who originated something probably ever seen in a 5-year career. I mean, let's face it. Let's talk about it. Let's speak on it. That's how we played it and made it. We made it that way. I worry about hip hop. I say that again. I worry about hip hop. Power of it. I mean, why wouldn't they control it? It's too powerful. I actually see it now. I see it now. See, that's one thing about a man, a smart man. When you get older, you get more wisdom. I see, but somebody had to control it. It was only right. Look how powerful it was. Why wouldn't somebody control it? Why wouldn't an entity or a group of people be able to censor it and control what get pushed and what don't get pushed? Why not? I think about some of the albums that we had, some of the powerful songs that we used to listen to, the different movements we had going on, and all the different things that was going on through music as the years went on. And I think to myself, more you listen to hip hop and the music, and a lot of the shit that we grew up on, it's clear. I mean, it's clear that they wasn't really listening to it. Like, I mean, I'm talking about the powers that be now who controlling it. You know they weren't listening to Death Certificate like that. They weren't listening to America's Most like that. They weren't listening to Paris. I mean, Public Enemy, they saw it, but they wasn't listening because a lot of the stuff just, and I said this before in another video too. It was sinking through. Not actually sinking through, but it was going through the through just the machine by just being noise to them. They didn't scan it. They wasn't reading the lyrics. They didn't know how big and powerful it was gonna be. They didn't know that shit, man. They just was like, okay, it's the thing for the kids now. That's the new wave for the kids, for the youth, for the streets. Let's just get us some money off of it. Let's just get behind and commercialize it a little bit, see where it go. But when it came to just them like I say, them PEs, them ghetto boys, them, you know what I'm saying? The man, do y'all even? I mean, really just dissect some of this shit Willie D and Scarface and them were talking about. I mean, you already had your Public Enemies and people from New York, so they definitely wouldn't listen to the dialect. No disrespect, but they wouldn't listen to the dialect of the country rap tunes. How Pimp C would say, they weren't listening to that. They weren't taking. I mean, even though they went through a lot, rap a lot, Jay Prince and them, they went through a lot to survive, and they was letting it be known that they was getting threats and stuff like that. So you know they was tapped in a little bit, but they was independent though. Before that machine got behind them, you know, later on in the game. But once the machine get behind you, think about America's Most Wanted album. I mean, it was built off controversy, of course, even with the title, with the 3Ks and all that. But they letting all that slide. You know, they think like, oh, that ain't too much harm. Let it go, yeah. Okay, we see the 3Ks up there. That's what he want. Come on, let us go on, you know, let it slide. But then when it got out of hand and you got your Tupacs, you got, you know, I'm talking about hitting with aggression then. You got your fuck the police and all that. I mean, fuck the police had to just slip through the cracks. Come on, man. They didn't think it was gonna hit like that. They knew it was a song. They knew it was something nice. I ain't gonna say they knew it was something nice, but they knew it was something that they knew it was something that they knew that okay, NWA they made this song and they turning in this album. Priority is looking at like, okay, well, if the song on there called "Fuck the Police," we gonna let it be. You know, Jerry Heller, all of them, they look at it like, okay, well, these what the young men want to say on the album, and they brought to us, turn it in. Let's just go with it. I mean, we can say that with confidence now because we know that the machine and the censorship for everything now will never happen again. We know it'll never be another "Fuck the Police" song ever. I mean, somebody might say it or somebody might repeat it, but we know it's not about to be a new artist that's A-list or even B-list or somebody with that type of resources to do a song like that over for the same reason. On a big scale, it'll never be another self-destruction on a big scale. The same entity and people that don't want it to be another fuck the police song, which can cause problems or show aggression. Those same people and forces, I believe, and jump out the window and say are the same people who wouldn't want to push. I ain't gonna say people couldn't make it, but people wouldn't push or make a mainstream. We all in the same game or self-destruction again. It won't happen. They won't do that shit. First, you gotta get brothers and the people to come together to even want to do it. You know how most are for self. So just imagine if all these young artists did do it, we all in the same game. Or if they even knew about the song of self-destruction, how much unity can be amongst the generations to come that's after. Like I said earlier in this video, it's gonna be real hard. It's gonna be real hard to keep your name alive for the next 50. Even though, like I say, some get repeated. You gotta really be the dead something, left your mark in this hip hop game to be remembered. And that should be a test of something. I don't understand how people don't get that. I mean, like, if you really love the game, I don't see how you're not in it to leave a mark like that, to be one of those people. How is you in this game and how is you in this game and don't want that? I don't get it. Let me say that again. How is you in this music game and industry or rapper or MC or DJ or whatever tool that you run that's pushing the line of hip hop culture? How can you be in it if you don't want to be? What I'm saying is how you don't create from the standpoint of want to be one of the greats. I don't get it. It's gonna be real hard again, like I say. It's gonna be real hard years of not just trying to be one of those artists that still remember. Like I say, look how many people fighting right now just to want their family or want their cousins who was a DJ 20 years ago. They want them somewhere in the 50th anniversary. They want them to be heard or talked about. Or man, you can forget it. Matter of fact, some of y'all forgot already. It ain't gonna happen. This hip hop thing gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard. Didn't Lupe make a song too? Hip hop has saved my life. Kinda like the Lupe too. He was alright. It was just something about him that didn't just go over though. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the timing. Cause He definitely could have been with Kendrick and all that, man. Because he was right there before that whole wave of Kendrick. What was it? Kendrick, Big Sean, J. Cole, all them. Lupe was right before all of them. I just remember that song he had. Hip hop can save my life. But he was right there before that whole wave of Drake, Kendrick, Big Sean, that whole class. And he had some positivity too. That's what he was on. But it be about that timing. Timing ain't right. You can easily get lost in the shuffle. Your timing ain't right. What you doing? That's one thing hip hop taught us too. Taught us about timing, the timing of your hits. And there's a lot of songs. There's a lot of songs that we look back and regret on too. People can talk all that shit, but there's a lot of songs and fads and things that came and went that we regret. It had its moment, but still can regret it. Well, I don't even say regret it, but we can just cringe when we look back at it and be like, we really was wearing our hair like that? We really was wearing clothes with holes in it, like the raggedier the better. I remember damaged, used. What was the other one? I think it was one more. But I definitely remember used jeans for sure. And that's what's so crazy too. You see how this all just play back over. It's like we the parents now looking at it. But back when used jeans came out, our parents, we buying $50 pants, used pants or whatever, whatever the price was, it definitely was enough. I remember used, it was expensive enough. But I remember older people saying like they spending all that money to buy clothes that got holes in it and that's raggedy. I mean, think about that. So now after that phase that went out and we grown now, just think how we look back at it like, damn, we actually wanted some pants. Like the raggedier the better. Remember that's how it was. The raggedier, the better it was. One called used, damage, cross colors, running around with bright ass clothes on. So I guess hip hop was definitely. I guess fashion definitely was one of the essence of hip hop, like graffiti and DJing. I ain't even touched on the DJing. Oh man, DJs. Where the DJs at? Everybody wanted to, I can say everybody wanted to the DJ. A lot of people wanted to the DJ career. More than average. A lot of people now are more open to be the DJs. You see or Shaquille O'Neal, Deion Cole, or a lot of these other celebs, being DJs, converting over to that, which might have been a hobby for a little bit, but as they did it and do it, of course, their name is attached because of their other skills, as far as the Shaquille O'Neal, mean, think what he brings to the masses. Being a superstar basketball player and being a DJ at a function. Ticket sales, of course, gonna be through the roof because just seeing a person who's in a whole different realm and element doing something different than what they known for is out of curiosity sells tickets. You have a comedian DJing. You have a producer, Jermaine Dupri, DJing. You know. Man, hip hop have to save some lives. I want to talk about the positive. I could talk about all the bullshit, all the people that passed away and died. But what hip hop did, created a voice. I'm able to sit here right now on YouTube at my crib in the convenience of my place, talk to y'all right now about hip hop because of hip hop. I really am. That's why I'm able to do it. I'm able to do it because hip hop gave me the opportunity to give us the subject matter. All of that. So just imagine for 50 years, we had this. And it ain't no rules. I mean, it's censorship, but it ain't no rules. I mean, ain't no rules. Think about it. Really ain't no rules to this shit no more. I mean, you might get clowned for a couple of things. But like I said, it might be censorship. The shit, as far as rules, ain't no rules to it. Like, I ain't one of the ones to complain, but look how lenient it done got. Now, you got artists don't even write their own rhymes no more. All that. And you got people who don't even care no more. I mean, I'm one of the ones that care. But you got people don't even care no more. They just care about the complete product. Do it sound good? Is the beat bumping? Is the hook jamming? Do they look like they, do they look match the image? I mean, I'm still a little bit old fashioned. If you consider yourself an MC and you gotta write your own rhymes. Even though that word MC is a little played out, the word MC. But if you care about rap as far as if you run around saying you the best, that's my thing. If you run around saying you the best, you gotta write your own shit. Well, if you run around wanting respect, if you want respect, you gotta write your shit. That's where I'm at with it. But I can understand the ones that don't because the culture that got so big. Shit, some of them don't even have time to write their own shit no more. They moving and grooving too much, so they ain't writing their own shit. They don't care about that part of it no more. Let's talk about the magazines. Remember the magazines? And the magazines? All of these are different branches off of hip hop. Publications. I don't hear too many people talking about that in its 50-year anniversary. What about the Source? Double XL? Fresh? Word Up? I don't hear too, I mean, that's part of hip hop. I mean, unless I'm missing something. I mean, don't get me wrong. Shit, I ain't watch a lot of these shows because they are all over the place. It's kind of too scattered everywhere, and which it should be. It shouldn't just be just one official. Even though they did have the show out in New York, which is the birthplace of hip hop, I get it. They had that big show out there. I mean, maybe somebody can tell me. Maybe they did do something for the magazines that been out like. But I just think about the source and how we had Word Up. What was it? Beat Upbeat. What was it? Beat. It was some beat. I remember people used to hang up posters. You'll cut out your favorite artist and put a picture up on the wall. That's how Biggie said, hanging pictures on my wall. I remember that. Magazines is definitely a essence and part of. It's definitely a part of hip hop. The publications. That's what made it like commercial also. Which is kind of died out, but you do have a lot of these magazines that they had to. I ain't gonna say they just straight up did it, but they was forced to take it to the internet. So some of them still do, it is still a XXL.com. Or then you have Hip Hop DX. You have all these other sites. I'm talking about the reputable ones. I could easily say, I ain't talking about the gossip and all that. Y'all know the other ones. Well, the big main ones that be looking for the bullshit. But I'm just remembering the source. I remember I used to collect the source. And that was letting you in on music before it came out. And you have to remember too also, they had to do those like a month or so ahead of time before the albums came out. All of that. Just think about how quick they had to work. Or how quick they had to print those articles up or go out of town. I'm pretty sure that shit was expensive. It might be easier for them now. I guess. See, that's something to think about too. Did all this shit just get so easier? Did it get easier or did it get harder? I guess it depends on what level you on as far as the game or where you fit in on the game. Did it get harder or did it get easier? That's something to think about. Because everybody ain't mad at this whole streaming game. Everybody ain't mad. See, them labels, they getting that. They getting that. They eating. Everybody ain't mad. Even though it is a lot of people out of job, like I say, in the magazine. Just think they had to travel. Okay, let's just take an example just real quick. Let's think of a couple things. All right. First off, you working for the magazine, whatever department you in, whatever. Let's just say you're an interviewer or writer. As a matter of fact, they may even the same person if you really think about it. But probably not the same person all the time. So here's how they had to go. Now I'm just brainstorming this because I didn't work for the magazine, but I researched and studied a lot. So dig, you an interviewer, you get a call. There's a Snoop album coming out. Let's just say a month or so, about to come out in a month or 2 months. But of course, they need some marketing. They got to spend that marketing You got to remember too, that was a room in the record company too. That was a whole department, a marketing department. See where all the money goes. You spend for them interviews. It's a difference when you're on the cover than just in a regular article. All that is money. Jay-Z let y'all in on that. He let y'all in on that. What'd he say? Rap Max try to use my black ass so advertisers can pay him more cash for ads. That's real. Rap Max try to use my black ass so advertisers can use more cash for ad fuckers. Let me break that down. And then I'm gonna go back to what I was talking about. If Jay-Z's on the album, not the album cover, Jay-Z's a big artist. If Jay-Z is on the cover of the Source magazine for the month of June, if he's on the cover and he's one of the biggest artists, when you walking through Rite Aid or Myers or whatever store or whatever that's near you, and you see Jay-Z on the cover, it's 10 times more likely to get picked up. You gotta remember we had less access back then. I mean, you had your internet and all that stuff about to flourish. But if you walking through your CVS or whatever store or whatever, whatever I don't know what city you in or wherever you from, but whatever big market store, and you just walking through there, and if you saw your favorite rapper on the cover of that magazine, you was quicker to pick it up. So the people in that department for that magazine, they knew those things because they could sell ads for a higher price. That's why sometimes, even to this day, even though people ain't picking up magazines how they used to, well, I feel like this, definitely not rap one, but like People magazine, like you got those type of magazines that have been around forever. Remember, what was the one Esquire? What's the one that used to always lie all the time? Inquirer. Well, Inquirer. Well, allegedly used to lie all the time. I don't just put it out there like that. Even nobody listen to my show like that anyway. I don't give a fuck. But you had your magazines like those that still today. If you're at your grocery store, you notice in the checkout line, they still have those magazines like Us, Ebony, or certain ones because older people who grew up on those, they still pick up those magazines. But they still have those big artists. They have Elizabeth Taylor, whoever, Dolly Parton on the cover of the People magazine. They still to this day have the big and most popular people. They can find the little slightest story about because they know that the magazine is going to get picked up quicker. That's why they still do it to this day. Oprah, like Oprah been in trending lately. I think she still got her magazine also, but her magazine about other stuff. But that's what Jay Z was talking about when he say rap mags want to use my black ass. So advertisers pay them more cash for ads. That's why some of these people faces get rotated. Like the Double XL, I don't know if they still do. They still do the freshman cover like they used to do it? That used to be a real big issue because it's like a collector's item. That's basically what it came out to me. So when they do the freshman cover, like they have all the newest artists who they're expecting to blow. But when they have them on the cover, those go quicker off the shelf. You can sell more of an ass, but definitely Double XL, Source. I remember Murder Dog. I remember Murder Dog. They were down in the South. All these magazines, it definitely plays a part in hip hop. I ain't been hearing nobody talk about the magazines as far as this 50-year anniversary. Who's been talking about who's been talking about the publications? Did anybody bring up D Pump It Up? Y'all remember Pump It Up? I mean, it's unfortunate what she kind of known for with the whole alleged altercation with Dr. Dre. But I remember Pump It Up. That was a real big deal. I mean, of course, Video Box. I mean, of course, they had to throw MTV Raps in there. Fab Five Freddy, then, you know, excuse me, Ed Lover and Dre, Rap City, all these things. All these are different branches of hip hop. I mean, from the person, okay, listen, all the way from the person, okay, if BET got the studio, or if your MTV Raps got the studio, all the way down from the person who got the key to the door, who come in and mop and clean up or whatever, not disrespecting nobody's job or nothing like that, but all the way down to the person that when everybody leaves, shuts the door and who got a salary off of, fixing the lights in the Yo MTV room. They all have to thank hip hop. All of them. Everybody ended up getting a job off of hip hop. That's what hip hop did. Like I say, the people who come in and clean up the room, who make sure the air working, all at these studios. Hip hop saved their lives. I remember the street team. Street teams is real big. I don't know how far y'all go back, but even street teams is real big. I still see some people trying to do it every now and then. When it be certain, I know here in Detroit, every now and then I see certain albums get plastered up on the wall. With the album cover on a dirty building or somewhere downtown that still gets a lot of foot traffic on a bus, on a bus stop. So you still see some big people that somebody's out there doing that. That's a job. But the street team used to be real big. They had a department too also. You had these things. That's all marketing. That was coming off that budget to get spent because you had to get the word out for the album to come out. Even though they might just come to the hood or just try to just I don't say subdivision, but they, try to set up entities and, in each other little city and just and probably, throw somebody a couple dollars like, here, go put these up on all the hot spots or take these to all the clubs, these promotional, things, flyers, just give these out. But that was money spent. Think about how many people just eating off that. You got the graphic design, all that. Somebody had to do all of that. The print company. All these people have to thank hip hop for having these things. Because at the end of the day, hip hop is the base. That's real, man. These are things you cannot just take away or take lightly. That's why when it comes to this, okay, say for me, okay, like if hip hop is 50 years old and I'm 40 plus, early 40, think about what I seen and didn't see. Or just think about what I seen. Let's talk about the good. Think about what I seen then. I grew up with hip hop. So just think how my age bracket or your age bracket, if you 35 plus or 30 plus, think about the things that you saw and how you wanna take hip hop with you for the rest of your years. And the more you're gonna see it change and the memories you're gonna hold on to. I mean, just think about that. Think about the shit that you're gonna hold on to that you saw. Or think about how you're gonna be trying to correct it when you see people playing with it and tampering with it and putting out false narratives or changing it up. That shit gonna hurt you. I mean, you can say whatever now, and I ain't even talking about the people that was involved with. I'm talking about from a fan perspective. That shit gonna be sensitive to you because it was something that you was there to see. It's kind of like, okay, like say I'm from Detroit, right? I remember when they did that movie here about the riots that happened here in Detroit in '67. I remember they did that shit, right? I actually grew up in the hood too where it happened at, on the 12th and Claremont area, where it started at. I grew up in the area, but of course, I wasn't born when the riots jumped off. But just think about how close that story is for the people that really were there when the tanks was going down the street and it was curfews and people looting and all that stuff. Like the people who actually saw it and was there. I just remember when that Detroit movie came out, that supposed to be based on that whole '67 riot. I just remember how so many people that really grew up in it, how they was disappointed in that movie because they felt like it didn't show it from its real authenticity. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we gonna feel with hip hop once it turn another 50 years. We probably won't be here to see it, but history's gonna keep on going. 20 year this, 20 year that. It didn't happen already now. So it's in the books. So if the people ain't here to really tell the story, as the years goes on, it's gonna get foggier and foggier. Unfortunately, it's gonna be more twists and turns to the story. It's gonna be more of this. Even though a lot of this do get documented. Even though a lot of this do get documented, and people can look back on a lot of these videos and stuff for research purposes, but there's so many ways to just rewrite history when it ain't when the money's involved or when people want to paint a narrative. That's why so many people get left out because you were no money maker. Unfortunately, it's fucked up to say, but that's why certain people do get wrote off. Like, cause where was your bang at? Where was your moment at? That's how they're gonna do you. That's how this industry just do you. I'ma feel sorry for someone. Not gonna be in the books. I'm sorry. To be podcasters. It's unfortunate. Like I say, Combat Jack, he passed away. One of the pioneers of podcasting. Taxstone, one that got locked up early in the game. Now he might be set in stone, unfortunately. He might be set in stone because people might remember him for getting locked up. That's unfortunate too, because people don't remember the bullshit. So by him being an early podcaster, they still might bring his name up. I take that back. But the Joe Buttons though, he's gonna be remembered. He's gonna be one of the ones that's gonna be remembered forever because he broke the bank with this shit. You know, Gillian Wallow, but getting a big deal in the budget like that with a number like that on it, they're gonna be in the books forever with podcasting. Because believe it or not, podcasting is a branch of hip hop, even though it's so many different levels of podcasting. But when it comes to our culture and with hip hop with it, those are definitely some of the key players that's gonna get remembered for the groundbreaking things that they did, especially Joe Budden, because he took it somewhere. Even though Gillian Wallow deal was considered bigger, at least for now, because of course Joe can always re up again, maybe depending on what happened as time goes on. We don't know. But the people that was first, like Taxstone and them, who had unfortunate situations happen to where they couldn't see the fruits of it. Combat Jack passing away. He might get in the conversation as years to come, but it's gonna take for somebody that's close to him to always bring his name up for the next 50. So when hip hop turned 100, who was going to be the one to say, like, okay, it was a guy named this, it was a person here, we had this, we had that, and hip hop was moving. Somebody got to tell the story. That's all I'm saying. Somebody gonna have to tell the story. What Cube say? You can't bury rap like you bury jazz. That's real. They couldn't do it. They couldn't bury rap like they buried jazz. We even fused with jazz. Shout out to Tribe Called Quest. Shout out to Guru, Gangstar. Who else? I guess the whole Native Tongues, basically, pretty much. Who was fusing that jazz with the hip hop like that? Who was doing that? We gotta give these guys credit. You know who else you think hip hop? Now this is a two-headed coin though, right here. When I go on and say this might be a bit much, but I don't know if I can say who could thank hip hop, but they both could thank each other. But it's a lot of sampling that took place that helped a lot of people eat. A lot of artists. Now, on one hand, you can look at it like rappers was just stealing. That's all they did was stealing, taking shit, stealing. Now, on one hand, you can look at it like that and be like, God damn. I mean, because if you really think about it, rappers was sampling like a motherfucker. Then, especially the older you get, you really see and look at those songs. Damn near every song, and I mean this, damn near every song that made it to the radio and beyond was a sample. Yes, it was a sample. Came from somewhere else by somebody else. Shit, one of the first rap songs that was Rapper's Delight. Shit, that shit was the beat was somebody else's. All that shit, samples. But what did it do though? It helped somebody else eat. I'm talking about artists getting phone calls who ain't did shows or none in years. I'm talking about, excuse me. I'm talking about shit. If the Loonies taking Club Nouveau and I Got Five on it is the biggest song ever, and still to this day, one of the biggest songs. Excuse me, damn, I don't know why my shit acting up. That paperwork right. Somebody from Club Nouveau eating like a motherfucker over all these years. I got five want to be in movies, everything. Excuse me. Been in umpteen movies. I didn't watch some Sir Mix a lot. Not to go back to rappers, but I'm gonna go back to the R&B people and all that in a second. But I'm gonna just tell you how real this shit is. I didn't heard Sir Mix a lot over the years since the interview saying he's still eating off that damn baby got back. Like shit don't even matter. But the point I was came in on this subject on, I was talking about how these R&B artists, jazz artists, so many, when they clear that sample, whether they know how big the song was gonna be, shit, excuse me, if they knew how big the song was gonna be or not, I don't know what decision they make or how they go about choosing whether they want to clear the sample or not, or if they be listening to the songs, or if they say like, okay, well, let's do it, or if they charge up front. I don't know the business end or side of how it go. I mean, I don't know the standard. I put it that way. I don't know the standard way to go about it, but I'm pretty sure they'll do like no damn work for hire. I'm pretty sure they damn know that. Okay, I want points off this song. He's sampling it. Think how many people Puff Daddy gotta pay or pay. Just like how they say off that I don't know how true it is, man. But I repeat it. Just like how because it came out again. I mean, we already heard it years ago, but they say allegedly, like Puff, he got to pay 2,000 a day to Sting for that damn song. Man, you know how much money that is. I mean, I know Puff he a billionaire and got money though, but if he got to pay $2,000 a day for that sample, I don't even know because that's all I want to speak on it because I don't know if it was a lawsuit or how it went down or if that was the agreement. Because he was on the Breakfast Club talking about it. Because he corrected Charlemagne or one of them when they tried to bring it up. Because they asked like, is it true that such and such you have to pay such and such amount for this song and name? I remember he corrected him, and I want to say he said that it was 2,000. That's what you have to pay a day for that song. So what if they sample the Sting song? Because I think it's actually the Police. That's the song. What the I'll Be Missing You? The I'll Be Missing You song. Because it's sampled I'll Be Watching You. If I'm correct, that's the name of that song. If it's the future, but one thing I will say though, that was some real shit. When it came on that with the MTV Awards, I ain't gonna lie, I don't even hold y'all up on that shit. That shit was a moment. That was one of the ones. I ain't gonna even lie though. I ain't gonna even play no games. When they did that I'll Be Missing You, when they mashed it up with Sting and them songs, 112 and Faith. That was the MTV Award. That was the time. That shit did bring a little chills through a brother. I ain't gonna even lie. That was heavy. That was one of the moments. But again, the sampling, hip hop saved some lives of some people who probably was sitting around doing nothing. And just imagine getting a call that, yo, just imagine getting that call. Some of the people probably at work somewhere and getting a call that the latest rapper want to sample their song. Yay or nay? What you say? Then all of a sudden they got a stream of income coming in off a song that they did 20 years ago that some dope producer who just was digging in the crates and found the dope beat and said, let me sample that. Let me sample that. Imagine that. That's reviving somebody's whole career. Like Randolph. Randolph. What partner? We're back. We're back. Yeah, make it happen. That's one thing too about hip hop. You never, never, ever, 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 never, in a good way. You never know where your song may end up at. I mean, that's just real. That's the, that's the, what's the word I'm looking for? That's just the fruits of this shit. You never know, man. Man, this shit is crazy. You got movies being made. Well, it's kind of like at a halt right now because they're on the writer's strike. There's a couple things going on. I don't know if a lot of things behind the scenes I don't know about, but they trying to play with a lot of that stuff, residual wise and whatnot. But you never know where your art may end up at. You can do a song right now during this 50 years of hip hop. And it can be like 20 years from now, and somebody just sample your shit. And once they do that, they hit you up and they let you know, like, okay, once you in the books again, you alive again. That's why Parliament is forever. George Clinton forever. Tommy Dog, all that shit forever. You got the Chronic, they eat forever. They eat forever off that shit. Even though Dr. Dre and them, they made a lot of money. I guess at the end of the day, what I'm saying too, as far as hip hop with sampling, the business end gotta be worth it for all these people to still be sampling and still be taking. The payout gotta be better. The flip side is man, we was taking too much shit, man. We was sampling too much. And like I say, by being just a music student, man, I be hearing so many songs. I be listening to the original Jam and Nine, and I be like, man, hey, sometimes I even still just figure out songs that was samples. And I be like, man, I never knew. It's like umpteen songs that you just still just figure out to this day. And you'll be like, man, I thought such and such did that shit and was jamming. Man, that shit is sample. It's like how much credit do some of these producers do you give? Cause some people blatantly were just taking shit. Talking about taking it. But I guess in the end, everybody ate though, right? Hustle Puff, Diddy, Love, or whatever he calling himself right now. For him to do all that sampling and it still be on to be able to outweigh it financially and to build that type of empire off of taking that much music from other artists as far as the beats of old samples. Mathematically, it had to outweigh it to keep doing it. Like I said again, I'm just talking from the outside looking in, but it had to be worth it financially to keep doing it that many times. Like sampling definitely put a lot of people on. Actually, some of these artists too, like the old original artists of some of these songs, some of them would throw on the rap song that it got sampled. They got that sampled their original song just to like, I don't say remind you, but to just kind of just let you know, like, okay, like we hip, we know we, you know. Because I remember one year I was at an Isley Brothers concert, and then I mean, a lot of people know that Ice Cube sampled what was it, Footsteps in the Dark for Today Was a Good Day. But I was at one of the concerts one time. They had a dude just come out and just start rapping an Ice Cube verse. It's like he was singing that song. He was singing Footsteps in the Dark, but he just went to a little couple little seconds of having somebody just rap Ice Cube part just to letting me know, like, okay, like, you know, that's thanking hip hop. But even though Ryan Isley, man, they was around since the 50s, they don't, they hip hop ain't saving their life, but it's still out of respect though, just to do it. It just shows you how, man, hip hop's a fucking big entity. I didn't even start talking about movies. Man, there's so much ground we can cover. I didn't even start talking about how hip hop got coincide with movies. Okay, did they even do that on all these specials and 50th anniversary and all that? Did anybody bring up the Crush Groove, B Street? Did they bring up that? They speak on all that? And how commercial it is not for the soundtrack to have hip hop songs or the rappers to be in movies? Man, they got to thank hip hop too. Hollywood, they got to, I mean, I don't say Hollywood, but the movie industry part of Hollywood and all that. They have to thank hip hop. Hip hop saved everything. Man, this shit is real. And the more I'm just sitting here talking about this shit, more and more things are just coming to me. Sports too, shit. Did they, man. But let's talk about movies for a minute, though. Let's talk about how hip hop affected movies, the early stages. One of my first like experiences was like Crush Groove. I just remember Crush Groove. I'm just a youngin' myself. I'm young as hell. Like I say, hip hop 50, of course, it's before me. But Crush Groove came out like in about 85 or something like that. I remember that shit. Something like that. I want to say 84, 85. And it was about rap and the starting of Def Jam and all that. So the idea, he had Blair Underwood. He played Russell Simmons for those who don't know. For the ones who want to go back and research how Def Jam got started, go watch Crush Groove with Blair Underwood. Classic movie. Run DMC was in it. LL Cool J, Fat Boy, New Edition. New Edition was even in Crush Groove. I just remember that. So that's hip hop. And as time went on, then you had this Orderly Fat Boys movie. That was one of the first ones. That was the first one too. And I'm talking about on the commercial level. Cause they try to put that tag on Crush Groove like this it's like a hood movie, but it's kind of more like this. Orderlies was more for the white people, I'd say. Even though we still went to go see it because the Fat Boys was in it, but we wanted to see it. I ain't gonna say we went out to see it, but we wanted a glimpse of it because the Fat Boys was in it. That's how they got us with it. That's how they marketed to us, and that's where hip hop come in at with movies. They was throwing rappers in movies and shit just to get people in the seats. That's why a lot of them actors, I don't know if y'all remember, or if some of y'all old enough to know, or the ones who younger that don't know or didn't know. There was a time when a lot of these actors, they was mad at these rappers. They wasn't fucking with that shit. They was like, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. They looking like I do all this acting. I went to school for this shit. I do all this, and you just going and throw Ice T in this movie or something like that, or Ice Cube in this movie, or Master P, or whoever the hottest rapper in this movie, just to get black people in the seats to go out and for the first week of sales, just to they was doing that, and they was doing it on the level to where they weren't going to stop it, because they haven't stopped to this day. It comes back full circle to hip hop. I'm telling you, the world do not move without hip hop. That's how big it is. Ice T, Ice Cube, Trespass. I remember that shit to this day. I think I was talking about that in one of my videos too, 'cause I remember the movie was supposed to be called Looters. That's all we kept talking about as kids. When is Looters coming out? Looters. Ice T and Ice Cube about to be in the movie. Two of your favorite West Coast gangster rappers in the movie with guns. That's all we saw. Menace to Society, MC8. Too Short had a small scene up in there. But everybody know Menace to Society was definitely hip hop influence because he rolled off the backs of Boys in the Hood with Ice Cube. That's credit. That's we talking hip hop again. That's what it was there for. Cube got put in the right position at the right time with John Singleton. John Singleton, mastermind, Boys in the Hood, telling the story. I mean, even from the title, using title Boys in the Hood, which was a song that Easy and them had, which Ice Cube wrote. But just think about it though. 'Cause this like 88, 89. I remember the Boys in the Hood movie come out. Just rolled off the backs of hip hop. They had to do it. I mean, better not never say hip hop ain't set in your life. That's a big production. That rolled over the TV. Everybody got a chance. Everybody got a glimpse of what hip hop can bring to the table. Did they bring up the movies? Like I say, they bring up Crush Groove. They bring up B Street with the breakdance and the graffiti. That's all I see and think about when I think of B Street. Remember Ice T was in that too. Ice T been around for a long time. He's legend. He's a legend, legend. Breaking in B Street. They were trying to let us all in on everything with the graffiti, the breakdance. Man, I'm telling you, I just was talking about it shortly ago, but to love this culture and to see where it's turning, man, you love it for real, it can hurt you. It can be mind boggling because you really, really love it that much. It can happen because there's so many different ways to go about it and thinking about it. Because you want it to grow. It's like a baby. I mean, I don't know how many of y'all are parents out there, but it's kind of like a baby. You know how you nurture it when it's first born, when the baby first born, you hold it, you burp it, you change it, you sleep it, you put it to sleep, you be there for it when it wake up in the middle of the night, you talk to it, you try to see how it's gonna react. When you say certain words, you see all the different changes, like a little baby, just because it's only gonna know what you tell it or what you give it or put into it. That's what hip hop was. So just think, just like your kids when they just grow up and start being their own and learning and being able to speak for themselves or make these decisions or go opposite ways or being able to tell you no and all that or being able to tell you that okay, I don't agree with all this and that. That's what hip hop is to us that's 30 plus right now because it just grown so big. It's not that little. It's not that thing right there on Saturday. What the Bronx? Bronx? They said half in the Bronx. So it's that small entity where it started. I don't want to be like a New York cats, but I can just imagine how they do feel. Sometimes I think about that. Just think about if you that person who plugged up the lights when they threw that party in the park just to see Lil Wayne and New Orleans make my half a meal a show. But you the one that thought about plugging up the lights again the speakers and starting this whole thing that we call hip hop. You know, that's a big difference. You got slang, we got words now. We the ones that created Ebonics. Remember the word Ebonics that came out? I don't even think people talk about it, of course, or give it credit. We kind of like just let it be, but I just remember how a lot of slang words from rap and hip hop got put inside the Webster Dictionary. Think about that. That's powerful. Not saying that we had to be let into the room or their door, but everybody grew up on the Webster Dictionary. It's definitely prestige. Prestige is to just think when they started throwing a lot of hip words inside of it. That was a big deal too. For those that can remember that, that was a real big deal. You have no idea how hip hop saved our life. If we talk about dancing, then we talk about dancing. That's a even though you got your b-boying, you can start with the b-boying. But today, this modern, I ain't gonna say modern dance, I don't want to use the word modern. But for the people that care about their shows, artists, they have background dancers, hip hop dancers, commercials, pop stars. It's all off the lineage of b-boying, breakdancing. Who thought about that though? Who thought about getting that cardboard and boogie oogie oogie? Who thought about doing that? And look where that came to. On the stages at Grammys, dancing, choreographers. I remember we even had a young man. The hip hop tap dancer. Y'all remember him? Y'all remember him? I can't think of his name. I brought him up in the video too. And I'll be going down through there when we talk about hip hop. I love this shit. That's why I know this is a motivational channel, but I'm still pushing you. That's why that rap talk is still there. But the young man that the hip hop tap dancer was Savoy Glover, some Glover, something like that. I'm sorry, I don't want to disrespect him. I'm trying to think of his name correctly. I just remember that though. It was being thankful for hip hop. You can put your twist on it like that. That's what hip hop does. Matter of fact, it was a quote. Damn, who said that? That made me think of it just right there. I can't think of who said this exactly. Because I really want to give credit to the artist that said this. What he said was, let me check if I can remember this right. He said hip hop didn't invent anything, but it recreated everything. Let me say that again. Hip hop didn't invent anything, but it recreated everything. Let that dissect though. Let that marinate for a minute. They say it reinvented everything. Hip hop didn't invent, but it reinvented everything. Because once hip hop touch it, it's through the roof. They got a new birth. They got a whole new leg, everything. That's what hip hop does. You can have a funeral home right now, but if you make a hip hop funeral home, it's gonna be a whole other entity. It might be people who want their funeral with, with graffiti on the casket or something. I mean, this might sound outlandish right now, but I'm just saying this, but it might be somebody out there who might want to start making caskets that got graffiti on it or something, because there might be some people out there that want to go out that way. I'm serious. It's really that real. You seen weddings? You see how some weddings be now? They have a little bit of hip hop theme. You coming in with gym shoes now sometimes, having on suits or suits with Jordans on. I mean, they was doing that for a while, going to prom and all that stuff. I done seen it. Not saying that Jordan's is just straight up hip hop, but I'm just saying it's not your average. And when you talk about sports either, we kind of touched on it just a little bit a while back, but oh my man, think about what hip hop did for sports. And I'm from Detroit, so you know damn well I'm gonna bring up the 5-5. Y'all know I'm gonna go there with it. I'm gonna go there with it. Jalen, Wes Rapper, the whole crew, Ron Howard, Jimmy Jackson, all of them. Think about how they was wearing the black socks, the baggy shorts. That's hip hop. They going down in the books for that. College kids from Detroit that was influenced by hip hop. How they put them outfits on like that and took it to that level. They did that from a perspective like, okay, let's. They had to have some damn headphones on and was listening to music, getting pumped up before them games, and like I say, being from the town and all that, being from Detroit, come on, man. Hip hop is the thing for that. When you look out on the basketball court right now, and they wearing shoes and all these different stuff that don't match the outfits of the uniforms, and the shorts hang a little bit. That's hip hop. Hip hop is the thing for that. Mm. It went straight to sports. Again, the 5-5, what they did, it was influenced by hip hop. And if you listen to Jalen, he keep it hip hop too, though. That's one thing I can't say about Jalen. He'll throw a couple words in there about hip hop. Shit, okay. Now, I done talked about sports a little bit. I talked about how the 5-5 was influenced by hip hop. We could take it back to Stuart Scott. We could take it back to him. Because he just throw in little words and little hip hop phrases and all that stuff, just trying to test the waters. I mean, he got to get credit, but he was a hip hop, I ain't gonna say a hip hop analyst, but he's one of the ones that got these people talking looser now on the mic when they speak about the game on ESPN and or Shannon or all these people, all these different people that talk sports and all these different things who let certain words just hang a little bit looser. Stuart Scott was one of the ones who did it like first, making little catchphrases and stuff like that, because he was influenced by hip hop. He put a hip hop twang on the whole speaking, which I still think that whole realm got a lot of, I think it's a lot of growing to do. But I'm not just wait. I'm just waiting for the time or the point. I know some people on YouTube be trying to do it. I'm just waiting to the point to where it just get to the point to where they cussing and everything just on TV when they talk sports and all that stuff. I don't know what they waiting on or what's the censorship or whatever, but gonna let them just say what they say because it's damn near there or need to be there. But hip hop definitely is the influence for that. Hip hop influenced all this shit, man. Everything that popped off, when that's popping off. You got dance, movies. Look at all these different things I done covered tonight just talking. I didn't cover a lot of ground talking about the way that hip hop saved lives. That's on the big scale. We need to talk about the smaller scale. A lot of people have hip hop to be thankful for. It gave jobs. I ain't talking about the entourage bullshit. I ain't talking about the ones who allegedly carry the weed and the guns and the security and all that. I mean, it's respect to security, though. So respect to them. I'm talking about the people that created crafts and salaries and jobs off of being in the right place at the right time to create off of hip hop, off the backs of hip hop. So the founders, man, they need, man, it should be some type of damn money pool or something. So them founders, man, so they will not be. I ain't saying they struggling, but there should be something going on to where it's like some money pit or union or some type of shit. I remember Nori talked about that a couple of times on Drink Champs. But if you notice, he stopped talking about that shit too. Now that I think about it, he don't talk about that shit no more. So they were talking about having a union. Some of them early Drink Champs episodes, he was talking about stuff like that. But you know how that shit go. That money involved with all that shit now, so he ain't talking about all that. So he ain't pushing that no more. But a lot of them artists that came early in the game, it should be some type of pool or incentive or some, a pot or something for them dudes to be, not have to worry about bills being paid. Not saying that they do. I'm saying I don't know their financial situation. But we definitely know they ain't got it like the ones that's coming out today. We know that part at least. Hip hop did a lot for a lot of people, man. I'm damn near to the two hour mark just sitting there talking about hip hop, and I definitely covered a lot of ground. Man, this one of the videos I hope more people catch on and can see or listen to when I see. But definitely there's a lot of shit I said in this one. Because the more I would talk, I was thinking about things that when hip hop took it, man, for real, we did cover sports, movies, dance, and the MC. I didn't even get to the DJ. Man, because y'all did talk about the DJs a little bit though, but I still could have just went a little bit deeper with the DJs because what the DJs is doing now, they taking the next level. They they talking, they MCing, they doing all of that. Like I say, traditionally, what the MC used to be, the big DJs now, the ones that's really getting that bag and really getting that money right now, what they doing now is what the MCs used to do. Like they cutting up, like even though they scratching and transforming everything, they still the ones that's on the microphone talking everything and getting the crowd hype, and they the ones that's measuring the time, how much time they got left before the artists come up and reading the crowd, and you know that's what the MC used to do before the MC became the rapper. They used to just talk. That's what a whole throw your hands in the air and wave like you just don't care. That's where all that comes from. Yeah, throw your hands in the air and wave like you just don't care. That's what the MC did. Now you got the DJs like the Khaled's, the D-Nice. It ain't a separate person holding the mic while D-Nice is on on the turntables mixing the songs. It's him on the mic too. That's multitasking. That's a craft within itself. But don't get me wrong, there's time. Sometimes, they like D-Nice, he done got so polished with his show, which I haven't seen, I will admit. But I know it just came here in Detroit like last week. But I'm saying he done got so polished with his show that I'm seeing that as other acts on the show. So what I'm taking away from it is, although he's DJing, it's still, I mean, because he's the headliner. Because the shit clearly said D Nice, what is it, the quarantine party. Remember from the whole, when the quarantine was going down, how he blew up off of Instagram doing the DJ sets in the middle of the night. So what I'm taking from it is, correct me if I'm wrong, but he didn't got so polished with it, whereas, of course, he's the headliner, being a DJ, but he still got a couple artists, couple artists that's flowing through doing his set. It's not like the artist is up there and the DJ is flowing through their set. It's the other way around. Like for instance, with the other DJ, what's his name? He got real big too with the Pass the Mic. Cassidy. Like, which was definitely a dope idea, but look how he bring all these different artists together doing his set. So that's disrespect to the DJ. And he talking between each one when he want to. That's MCing. So like I say, not all DJs, but the big DJs that then made it and crossed over and got real big, and that's the ones that's getting to that bag for real, for real. They doing more than just the DJ. They talking, like I said, they hyping up the crowd doing they set. Even though the songs could do that, but just imagine when you got even that much more influence to just talk during and before the songs play. That's MCing. That's what your favorite rappers was doing before they was able to get the mic at the party. For real, for real. Man, we cover so much ground though, man. Honestly, I think this one of my, if you made it to this part of the video, put a thank you rap talk in the comments. if you was able to even hear this part, just do it for me one time. Just put a, well, you gotta be thank you rap talk. Just put it in some real shit. Just put it in acknowledgement. No, I'll be confident to say it. Just put a thank you rap talk shit. That let me know that you made it to this part of the video. 2 hours in. This one of the videos I really I can actually say I'm proud of myself by getting through this and covering the shit that I covered and really getting to it on this one. Cause I ain't do shit but just kick it. But we'll see how it goes. This one of the ones I really wish this video would just catch on. Real, for real. But at the end of the day, I do it for the love. And I do think hip hop, like I said again, this is how I'm able to sit here and build some revenue. I got merchandise. About to have a monetized channel speaking about hip hop and motivation and poetry and getting to it all because of hip hop. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank hip hop and the pioneers and the people that invented it and the people that was patient with us to just grow and let it expand. I thank you, hip hop. That's why my name is Rap Talk. I'm a hip hop baby. I talk rap about poetry style is rap talk, all that. It all coincides. So I thank you, hip hop. Get with y'all in a minute, though. Rap talk.